Hey, it's been a while. My weekly upload schedule kinda got thrown off by everything going on in the Dandy's World fandom right now. So I decided to do this video as a sort of update on what's going on with me, talking about the situation for people who haven't seen my community post, and also answering some questions from you guys. It's a bit of a hodgepodge of things, so yeah, sorry if the video's a bit messy. I made a community post asking for silly questions you guys are curious about, so here's a little Q&A before we get to the serious stuff at the end. Someone who isn't hyped asked, "How cool are you?" I'm about 20% cooler than before I started making videos, I'd say. Voxicola asked, "What's your opinion on Yada?" I like Yada. She's a fun character, and my friend Myth loves her a lot, so I ended up loving Yada by association. She also has some pretty good skins. Dayminer asked, "Favorite tune? What do you think about Louis?" My favorite tune's Brusha. That one's pretty obvious. And my opinion on Louis is pretty positive. I think they're pretty neat. Soul Rants asked, "This is very important. What is your favorite flavor of Pop Tart?" Uh, I don't think I've ever had Pop Tarts. I'm not sure they're even sold around where I live. I'll check though. As for the flavor, I honestly have no clue. But usually my favorite flavors of things are either strawberry or vanilla, so I guess. Archie Plush asked, "What's your opinion on eating light bulbs?" Yummy! Dandy's Garden View asked, "Anyways, what do you think will happen to Dolly's factory now, besides the code slowly deteriorating?" I think it'll just slowly die out. Without any updates, the game's gonna stagnate and there won't be a reason to keep playing, so it's gonna slowly bleed players until there's no one left. One GameML asked, "What was your inspiration for your OC or Sona, the one in your profile pic?" My Sona is named Sin. He's kind of inspired by multiple things. The species is just because I like bats and cats, so I made him a mix of traits from both. His colors were inspired from this really cool VR chat avatar I found, while his lore is more inspired from Bee and Puppy Cat, while also kind of Folly from Warframe but more loosely. Although the end product ended quite similar to Charlie from the Silver Eyes than anything. Check out my toy house or art fight if you'd like to see more from him. Spectral asked, "Favorite cuisine?" I may be biased, but Portuguese one? I mean, it's my country. I have to be patriotic sometimes. I Heart Five Nights at Freddy's asked, "Congrats on 5K. What was one of your biggest inspirations for starting your channel?" Thank you. Also, the inspiration for starting my channel was less inspiration and more spite. I know it sounds weird, but I made my Bobette video, which was my first video to pop off, purely due to the fact that I loved Bobette, and I was sick of people blatantly ignoring her lore and acting like she was boring. It's a huge pet peeve of mine when someone blatantly has no media literacy, but acts like they're hot shit for understanding stories in the most basic surface level way, and not at all engaging with the deeper themes being explored. People really love to parrot the tip of show don't tell, but it's becoming increasingly clear over the years that when stories do show instead of telling, people are like, "Well, it's not stated outright, so it's only a theory." I'm looking at you, transjax deniers, people that still deny Aang died in Crossroads of Destiny, people that deny Chris goes by they them pronouns. It happens everywhere. It's always show don't tell, but when a story shows, then it's suddenly not clear enough, and the writing has to be bogged down to let people's minds understand that yes, a character eating a burger and being happy about it means they like burgers, and they don't have to turn to the camera and go, "Actually, I really like burgers," for it to be established that they like burgers. Anyway, yeah, the reason I started my channel was spite. I honestly was only gonna post that video and move on, but it blew up and I saw people asking for more, so I decided to take the opportunity and make more content, and here we are. The cartoonist asked, "Why do they call it oven when you of in the cold food of out hot eat the food?" What? Furby Cherisher asked, "Is Maisie the Mutt trapped by Miss Hecate or by Miss Canary?" What? Mr. Anonymous asked, "What? What?" The Gay Pickle, by the way, great nickname, asked, "Are you aware of the current drama happening in the Dandy's World community? If so, what is your current take on it?" So I thought this would be a great question to put towards the end. It's a more serious topic, so buckle up. A while ago, some accusations were thrown against Qwel through a Google Doc posted by Joji. The accusation's main point was that Qwel knew that Rox was drawing CP long before he was outed as a predator and groomer, and her acting on him was only because the community forced her hand. There's a lot more to it, so I recommend you read the doc yourself or find another content creator who could explain the situation better. I don't really trust myself with relaying the information perfectly. I made a community post about it saying that I'd pause Dandy's World content in the meantime, and if I'm being completely frank, it was also kind of a selfish reason. I wanted to just wait the situation out. I figured if I kept just doing my regular content, my comments would be flooded with annoying people yelling at me for ignoring the situation, even if I did address it in my post. And frankly, I also didn't want to do a ton of videos covering the situation. Drama YouTubers that just milk stuff like this for views are genuinely kind of disgusting, and I don't want to bog myself down to that level and end up disrespecting the victims by only talking about the situation. At the end of the day, the mission statement of my channel was to talk about things I like and spreading positivity, but it's clear I wouldn't be able to do that with what is going on right now. My passion for the game is in this weird limbo, or I don't want to cover it because I don't want to support Qwel until we get a response. Even if I am still really passionate about the game itself, I don't want to cover it in a video, so I paused content. If I'm being so real, part of me was expecting the accusations to be, at least to some extent, false. People brought up great points about how a lot of the stuff they said boils down to trust me, bro, and appealing to emotions. Of course, I didn't discount it immediately due to that. You have to listen to everyone in situations like these because you can't risk not believing a victim. But still, the situation didn't seem that serious at the start in a way. We knew Qwel was manipulated by Rox to some extent, and I was pretty sure she could make a reasonable response that would explain her perspective pretty well. And while, of course, she'd still be somewhat to blame for the bad things she did, she wouldn't be this big villain either. Because I do believe just because someone does a bad thing, it doesn't mean they're a bad person. People make mistakes, especially in situations as stressful as these, and sometimes those mistakes can have big ramifications. And with how Rox was straight up proven to be incredibly manipulative and controlling, I don't think it's out of the question Qwel was one of his victims. And while of course it wouldn't excuse her actions, us understanding where she's coming from and her accepting accountability for her mistakes could be the first step to fixing things. The situation was bad, but not beyond repair. But as the situation evolved, my sentiment also evolved with it. Joji and many other victims came out with more evidence and stories about Quell's pattern of behavior, and it's all becoming a bit overwhelming. This many people basically all corroborating the same pattern of behavior with completely different stories is definitely a big case to be made. Not to mention, a lot of the screenshots do show some pretty damning evidence, like Quell ignoring text messages when they upset her, blocking her friends when they try to say anything negative about her, etc., etc. I think with this new development, it's becoming even harder to be hopeful for Dandy's World future. I still hope Quell will take accountability and make a reply, but even so, the accusations have gotten so large, her response has to be freaking stellar for me to actually believe it. So, yes, I am aware of the situation, and honestly, it's not looking good for Quell. But remember to stay respectful and relatively neutral until both sides get a chance to speak. Staying neutral does not mean not supporting the victims, too. You can support them while still being open to Quell's response. Jumping to conclusions before everyone has shared their perspective will only cause more harm than good. I will leave links in the description to the docs so you can check them out yourself. They are pretty long, so if you have trouble reading long documents, you can use Microsoft Edge's built-in TDS to read out the doc for you. That's something that really helps me read stuff personally. Just download the doc as a PDF, plug it to your Microsoft Edge if you have it, and press Ctrl-Shift-U. Then you can just listen along while reading. That sounds like an ad, but I swear I'm just sharing something that helps me. Next question in the comment goes hand in hand with this other question, and I think this is a good question to end the video with. Moatemp asked, you said that you might drop Dandy's World. If you do, what game are you gonna cover on the channel? Honestly, I'm not sure. Dandy's World was kind of my jam. It was a game I was really passionate about, and a game I actually understood pretty well. That made it easy to make videos on it, talking about balancing, lore, everything. It was all the stuff I was invested in. I tried making videos outside of my niche, but they often performed really poorly. My digital circus analyses performed horribly, and honestly, after the response to my Kane video, I'm 100% done with the TADC community. Y'all are insufferable for me simply having a different interpretation of the story. Oh, you clearly didn't understand Kane's backstory. Blows you up with mind. But I digress. I also have other games I like. I enjoy Warframe, but like when I look at Warframe, I think, what would I even make a video about? Which is not a problem I ever ran into when it came to Dandy's World. Dandy's World content just kind of came naturally to me. Even though I'm good at Warframe, at least I like to think I am, I'm still not a good source for builds, and there are already established lore people in Warframe's community, so I'd just be a straight downgrade to those people who dedicate themselves to reading everything. I like Overwatch, but in a similar boat, I'm literally plat. No one's watching content from me in a million years. New stuff I can't really keep up with due to my work schedule being very weird in real life, and the lore is honestly kind of flat most of the time. Like, it has interesting concepts, but most of the time they're executed extremely blandly, so I'm not a fan of that. And while I love Toon's universe, it's just not the same. Dandy's World was the game for me. I'm so sad that it's potentially going to die now. I hope whatever it ends up as, that you'll stick around regardless. There's still a chance Dandy's World isn't completely done for me. But if it is, the channel is definitely going to pivot to a completely different direction. Anyways, thank you for watching. Be sure to like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more content from me, and maybe not miss the streams I sometimes do. Join my Discord server to hang out as well, link in the description. And thanks for listening to me yap about nothing in particular. Goodbye.